Prospecting, what it is and what it isn't. Whether it's labeled simply as prospecting or is called lead generation, tactical marketing, new customer acquisition, cold calling, trade show selling, referral marketing, or business development, gaining successful access to qualified leads is the single most critical component of your long-term sales success. And that is true no matter what you sell or to whom you sell it. Why is that? It's really simple. Most salespeople who fall eventually tend to do so to an inadequate supply of qualified leads, period. Without sufficient number of prospective customers on call, anyone's sales efforts will eventually fail, even yours. However, even if you do generate a large number of prospective customers, you will ultimately fail if they are not qualified, and ultimately you don't know what to say in order to get them. You're really out of luck. Those qualified prospect customers will all have 5 common traits. The fewer they have of those traits, the less qualified they are. You want people or organizations with the following qualifications. They have an awareness of their need for whatever it is you sell. They have both the authority and the ability to pay for it. They have legitimate sense of urgency relative to acquiring it. They trust you and your organization. They are willing to listen to you. This section will supply you with the exact phrases and words that you should use to guarantee the most positive response to your prospecting efforts. However, at this point, it is important for us to deal with the most basic questions of all about prospecting. What good would it do for you to present even the most perfect message to a prospective customer who doesn't know that he or she needs your product, doesn't have sufficient funds to pay for it, has no authority to access those funds, has heartfelt immediacy to purchase it, or doesn't trust you? Yes, you guessed it correctly. None. No good at all. So here's the biggest trap to avoid. Don't be satisfied with using any of these phrases with a prospective customer who merely agrees to listen to you. That is pure folly. It's fool's gold that will only take you closer and closer to sales failure. The urban legends of lead generation. The urban legends of lead generation, the 21st century, and its vast array of digital opportunities has opened a myriad of truly exciting avenues for lead generation. But first, let's take a look at what it is, the most time-tested and traditional strategy: cold calling. Even though cold calling is the oldest strategy, it can also prove to be the most unrelenting, arduous, cruel, and grueling of all. In spite of that difficulty, there are times when it's only option for some salespeople. More about that later. Think about this situation logically and honestly. What are the chances of your encountering someone who has all 5 of the characteristics of a qualified prospective customer by cold calling, either by phone or by knocking on doors? You guessed it, extremely slim at best. However, if there's no strong market effort, if brand awareness is low, if resources are limited, or there is no prospecting strategy available, this may be your only option. In that case, or if cold calling is your strategy of choice, we will, of course, address what to say and when to say it. Nonetheless, at this point, there might logically be some question in your mind about whether you should use this low yield yet deceptively inexpensive method of prospecting for any long term, so many other options as explained in this book could be available to you. At the other end of the spectrum, inspired by today's technological, lots of salespeople have resorted to making unsolicited presentations through an array of digital tools: CDs, DVDs, emails, faxes, etc. And that may seem to be really up-to-date strategy. But let's ask another very straightforward question. Have you ever received an unsolicited DVD, CD, or spam email cleverly, sometimes not very cleverly, disguised as being important? Yes, probably a lot. However, here's the real question. How often have you personally looked at that DVD or listened to that CD? Have you ever opened an email or read an unsolicited fax only to discover that you've been spammed with a clever but clearly manipulative headline? Although these tools of technological can be relatively inexpensive to use, they usually don't deliver the results you want, and they are deceptively expensive in terms of your reputation. So here's the moral of the story. Don't jump on the latest technological prospecting bandwagon, or at least think about it before you do. Selling's number one secret. This most often overlooked and underappreciated secret is so important that it could make this book the most critical tool in your sales success library. After observing others sell more than 30 years, managing salespeople for over 20, and personally selling for even longer than that, I have reached one simple but profound truth that will be repeated again and again in this book. The secret to selling is to be in front of a qualified prospect customer when he or she is ready to buy, not when you need to make a sale. What does that mean? Simply, this timeliness is by far the single most important skill in prospecting, period. This book is not so much about how to evaluate the myriad of strategies you could implement. Instead, it's really all about what to say when you are there, by phone, in person, or through another medium, regardless of how you get there. However, you do need to have an appropriate strategy, or better yet, set of strategies that clearly defines your prospecting effort. You must maintain the top of conscious position in your prospective customers' minds in such a way that they think about you at the time they decide to pursue the purchase of a product or service that you sell. This book will carefully recommend specific words and phrases linked to a wide variety of strategies. There's really no other way to design it. What you say and how you say it are necessary, intertwined with what you do in order to get in front of a qualified prospective customer. Again, the primary purpose of this book is for you to know exactly what to say when you are in front of a qualified prospective customer at the right time. However, those words and phrases are contextualized by the strategy you use. There is no way around it. But let me give you a warning. Don't allow these disarming simple tactics, words, phrases, terms, and approaches to lead you to believe that you can do without an artfully defined prospecting strategy. Don't allow them to become the classic tactics in search of strategy. You must have a strategy. Choose which of the many prospecting approaches suggested in this book you may want to employ, and then apply the right tactic in the right time with the right prospective customer, and then use the right words. Again, with whom should you use these phrases? You certainly will achieve better results if the person with whom you are using them is truly a qualified prospective customer. And one more time, that single word, qualified. It's more critical than many salespeople believe it is. Long term, wasting too much time with too many of the wrong people is sure a way to guarantee sales failure. why are we revisiting this concept so soon after introducing it just a few pages back? Because it's really important. It really is that important. And its fundamental value to prospecting can never be overemphasized. And that is particularly true in a book like this, one that presents perfect phrases. Even the best phrases will misfire if used at the wrong time and in the wrong way. So be warned.